A very good morning to you, our dear viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in every day here at Bethany TV. Mwebale nnyo kubanga mutulaba mwenna. Abantu bangi nnyo bampeereza messages okuva ku Facebook, abo ku Twitter, bajja mu inbox ne baweereza message. Abayagadde story yaffe eya Zani, mwebale kubanga mulaba. Ne mwenna abagoberera Bethany TV ku mitimbagano, mwebale kubanga mutulaba. Bantu bangi nnyo mulaba ku Facebook, mutulaba ku YouTube. Mwebale nnyo okubanga mulaba Bethany TV. Gumunaffe ntera okugamba bw'obanga yakaweddeko obanga toli waka ng'oyagala okuba ng'olaba programu eno oba programu zaffe endala zonna, genda ku YouTube. Kasita oba ng'olina smartphone, genda ku YouTube, teekamu Bethany TV Uganda, oba ku Facebook ojja kuba ng'otulaba. Nawe alina mobile apps nga UTV Afro Mobile wamu ne Airtel TV, tojja kuba ng'osubwa kintu kyonna. My name is Winnie Mbabazi, and today we have a guest in the studio. Kabulijjo mugenyi ajja n'atunyumiza emboozi n'atubuulira byayiseemu. Kakati olwaleero nkomezaawo omukyala Zani Favour. Zani Favour gubanga mulundi gw'okusoosa okuba ng'omulaba yatunyumiriza ku lugendo lw'obulamu bwe naddala obw'obufumbo. She got married in her early 20s. To someone she loved so much and thought loved her so much. N'abeera mu bufumbo emyaka 7, naye emyaka egyo 7 gyalabikanga emyaka 10 kubanga she suffered both emotional and physical abuse. Zani has been taking us through her story, bits and bits, but we believe olwaleero kiggwa. Zani, welcome back to Bethany.
Thank you.
Munange webali kwendiwaringa.
I think it was just by God's grace.
Thank you so much for coming back.
And thank you so much for having me again.
People have been sending me messages nga temujja ku mpewo watugambye essaawa 3 konze banneetujja.
Mukama tumwebaza olw'okutuwa opportunity.
Amen. How are the kids?
The kids are okay.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So we are going to start straight to our story where we stopped yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday twakomye nga bakugobye kanshiyite bwentyo bakugambye kati ddayo. After all mama we yagamba bwe mba nkukooye nkuzzeeyo kati nkukooye kankuzzeeyo bakuvuga ekiro.
Kati bwe yalinga mu kwogerawo empozi kye nabadde nerabidde bagamba nti bwe yankubanga emiggo gino ejahanga yankubanga njuliza muganda wange kale gwe mba mpitanga cousin wange. He would beat me like when he's actually talking to me about my own cousin who I had brought to help me at the shop, to help manage things there because we were employing her. But the time he was beating me, he would beat me nganjuli zoli, like he's telling me, I'm going to bring her to your home, you know, you have to go away. Now like she's the one I'm going to bring. And all this, of course, had come from some time ago when I was asking him, because I used to see things happen between them that were really unreal, you know.
Your cousin and him?
Yes.
Okay.
Kati, like one of those things, and I must mention that I'm going to try and, highlight these things because there are a lot of things. And then many of you who can buy my book, my book will be published by the end of the year. You will get everything. So this time, because I cannot take up a whole week of sharing, I want to be able to give a few highlights here and there. And so one of those episodes I had asked him about my cousin, why he would come back home at midnight, and then he mentioned that he was teaching her how to drive. Now, how do I exactly find out about this cousin issue? I used to, I'm the kind of person who sees things and I just let them be. I don't sibamira chintu ngenda okutukako nga nina wino yenna okitegeera. So by the time I'm asking him, I already had gotten some certain ideas, not even gossip, because I clearly don't listen to gossip. But one of those days, as we were traveling from Gulu to going to Kampala, I happened to sleep in the car because he was driving. And then he parked somewhere around Midjoya. And I like fall asleep for a little bit. And then it's like I saw a vision actually. And then I saw him entering a lodge with my cousin. And then in the moment, I woke up. I'm like, what did I just see? I'm like, no, there's just no way. But by then, I had gotten several dreams that would help me realize that whatever I was dreaming was usually true, most of the time, at least. No dreams that came to me were unreal. That is, I think, you know, according to how God designed me. So I went home. I waited for the whole thing. I didn't ask him about it. Then when we went back home, I asked my cousin about it. I asked her, what is going on between you and my husband? And she first didn't speak. And I told her, by the way, before I come to ask you such a question, I have data. Okay? So you better tell me what happened on that day, on this day like this, because he had traveled to Kampala and she was in Kampala. So I told her to take a bus. She insisted she wanted to come with him. He insisted he was going to drive her back. And because of the things that I had already come seeing, it is not right for you guys to come back together. Let her take a bus. They insisted on traveling together. So I asked about that particular day. And she said, well, we stopped in Mijera. And she ended there. And then I'm like, so what happened? She's like, well, he got his room, I got my room. I'm like, girl, don't even lie to me. I'm like, do you know how I even found out? Or you didn't even think I would find out?
And yet you had had that dream that day.
Yes, I had had the dream 3 days before. I'm asking her this and she was lying to me. And then I asked her, did he ever make any advances to you? And then she's like, there's this one time he was teaching me how to drive and he started touching my boobs. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I don't even want more. I already have enough. Because you do not start doing that to your wife's cousin. Okay? Omuliro bw'ogusembeza omuzigo. What does it do? It melts.
Yes.
So no one can tell me that they did not do anything. However, I am not here to judge. The thing is, I was talking about what led to some of those vigorous fights, because every time I would ask him about this girl, I call his phone, it's busy. I call her phone, it's busy at the same time. And then he's talking out of the house. You know, as a wife, you have these instincts and you can tell that this is happening, you know. And so every time I would question him, he would become very aggressive. So that night, yankubanga njuliza kazini wange ntinja muleta afumbe. She will be ajja kujabere makago kubagwe wasalawo okusiruwala, you disrespect me, nangamba omusajja alina okusajja laata.
Oh yeah.
This is a born-again Christian we're talking about, and I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can. Okay? It is not okay. It is not. Now, someone yesterday was telling me, how come you did not share how stupid you are in that marriage? And the thing is, my viewers, I want to tell you today that whether I was stupid or not, there's nothing I did to deserve the kind of torture I went through. And today, I have a voice because I decided to come out. No one deserves that kind of torture.
No one.
Now,
kubanga omuntu ne bwaba alina kyakoze ng'owulira tokyamusobola, you let go, you leave them.
Exactly. Just let them go. You know, if you feel like you can't, you know. Anyway, so I wanted
maybe people are judging because there's that part when you said yakugamba nti genda noga sijja genda. Abantu bagamba lwaki teyagenda lwaki yali yesiba ku musajja, but and they're the same people who be like
nalina omwana wa myezi esatu omwana wa myezi esatu omulala nga wa myaka I think 4 years. Okay, you tell me to get out after you've hit me so bad. Then you want me to go, then you come back at my house and apologize for what you did, then you expect me to come back. What kind of thing is that?
Going, but he
yes, era yajjanga n'akola ki. Now, I don't want us to prolong this, but that day nga bwe nabadde njogera jjo twatuuka Kamudiini ng'amaze okukuba ebikonde ankubye annozeza bulungi. he had hit me so bad that I was literally at this point not even feeling my own body. He tells me, get out of the car. In the middle of nowhere. It's dark and rainy. Okay? And I'm like, God, where am I going? What if I bump into someone who will even rape me? He tells me, get out of the car. I get out of the car because I have to listen. I get out of the car. He drives off, I think, like a mile. And then I'm there, shivering, cold. Remember, he had hit me and torn my clothes apart. I was literally naked. And then I decided to start praying. I'm like, God, right now you're the only person who can save me.
Now, what kind of prayer were you praying at that moment?
I don't know, but I just had to pray something. I needed God to help me somehow. In fact, I prayed and I told God, if you get me out of this situation, I am telling you, I will never come back to this man again. I promised myself. And I'm like, God, just give me a way out. Later, I don't know how this is going to end. If you get me out alive, I will not go back. So I stand there for about 30 minutes. He drives back in reverse. He comes back. He's like, get into the car. I get into the car. Don't even sit in front. Sit behind. The one I used to drive. I sit behind. He pulls down the windows. He drives. Tuba tutuuke Bombo. He stops. And then he said, we are going to get out here. I'm like, okay. Yes. I just had to do everything without even asking at this point because I did not know what was going to happen next. So he stops there somewhere in a lodge. That was about 4 a.m.
in the morning.
Yes. He stops at a lodge and then he tells me to get in.
In the lodge?
Yes. My viewers, you all know what happened. I cannot speak about that experience because my daughter might be watching. But it was the most hurtful thing that I had ever experienced. With tears flowing down my eyes. I didn't even know how I looked. At around 5:30, he tells me, get out. We drive all the way back to Kampala. And I remember he stopped by Capital Shoppers because I had come with none of my things and I was in a torn thing. He went and bought a towel. I don't remember what else he bought, but I remember he bought a towel. And then he got one of the dresses he had packed in my suitcase. I dressed up. He stopped at my mom's place. Very early in the morning, my mom, I think, had just gone. I reached home, and reaching home gave me a certain kind of peace that I cannot compare to anything. I knew I had reached where I had to reach. For some reason, I had peace. And the moment I entered, there was a young girl who used to take care of the home. She picked the suitcase and brought it in. He drove away. Now he came, I went to the sitting room and I sat and I blacked out for about 8 hours. I did not know what was happening. Omwana yajanga nampita, she used to call me she came and called me for breakfast, nga siwulira, nampita okulya, byonna nga abiteekaawo, naye nga nkonako nga siwulira, natandika n'okweraliikirira. I came back to my senses at around 9 p.m. when my mom's, she kept calling me, she called me. But before all this, as I sit in this living room, I get out the phone and I see how I look. And man, it was scary. I could not see through this eye. I could not even cry. Now the pain in my body was starting to show up because yali yankuba, like in the night. nga sibiwulira omuntu waba kuba oba towulira the pain starts to show up in the next days. You people, I cannot explain the pain. My mom came and started calling me at 9 p.m. She called until when I like come back to my senses and I'm looking at her and now she feels like she's so far. And then she's like so perturbed, she's even crying. And I'm like, what has happened to me? Meanwhile, like I don't remember what happened. And then I get up and I cannot get up. I'm in so much pain in my body. And then she's like, what do we do? I don't even have money to take you to the hospital. Now this gentleman had left me with 200,000. Nangamba, njagala ogambe mama obi wakoze, omala okwate ebbaasi enkya okomewo.
Wanji.
So when my mom started speaking, she could not even speak. She was just looking at me. She couldn't eat. Na akaba amaziga nagaba naye kati bino tubikolidde ki? I don't even have money to take you to the hospital. I told her, let me just sleep for today. Because the truth is I cannot even move. The worst part about this pain is I had bruises in my mouth. Because he would box me and I would bite myself.
Oh, yes.
My tongue was full of wounds. My mouth was so full. I cannot forget that pain. I could not eat. Do you know what it feels to have appetite and you cannot even eat? The best thing I could do is I would take milk, which is like lukewarm. I experienced that for about 2 weeks. I got the strongest painkillers to be able to take away the pain, and I eat. But still, it would damage the wounds inside. Another cousin came in the morning to take me to the hospital. They took me to AAR and they asked me what happened. I told them I fell in robbers. I could not say it was my own husband. It was such a shame.
And besides shame, go gamba kati banambuza bayinza opickingira awo story nebaga nedde no police case. Ate nekuleetera ebizibu ebirala.
Kubanga already nali nakiteekayo dda ku police, nothing was done. Okitegeera. So now I come and I'm at the hospital. They diagnose me. They're like, oh, we need to do an X-ray. I'm like, what? I'm like, if I don't even have money. That I go look for the money, we need to do an X-ray. I didn't have money. They gave me the drugs, gave me antibiotics, bichi, nintaniko bimira. Saddayo mu ddwaliro. Ningamba, kanziremu nkowole Katonda wange ajja kunyamba. Meanwhile, I would get a pain in my neck, on this side, on the back. And I didn't understand it. It would come like so sharp. But I was like, I can't afford to go to the hospital, let me wait. Turns out today, after a few years, I went back to the hospital this time because the pain kept intensifying. And they realized that 3 of my discs got dislocated.
Oh my God.
Like I don't know that language of the doctor, but they got, out of place. And when I went to the doctors, they were asking me, what happened? Have you been in an accident before or something? And I'm like, no. But as I'm contemplating there, I remembered. So I told the doctor that maybe this and this could have happened because I went through domestic violence. He's like, that's right. When he would beat me, I would jerk my head behind. And so that the 3 discs interlocked. That is another story for another day. I am grateful today that I'm able to even have my hands and have my feet and my eyes. There's so much the Lord has restored in me. Now, going back to the story, that was a very, very hard time. My grandmother passed away between that very time when I was dealing with my wounds, both outside and inside. The inside ones, I had no idea the depth, but I knew I was damaged completely. We treated the ones that people could see. I would put on cover up myself, and I wanted to go speak to my grandmother about this thing, but she was very sick. And the day I planned to go is the day she dies. And yet she had like asked for me, where is she? And I find out she dies. If I could even look in her eye. And that really broke my heart. And then he had the audacity to show up. Shows up with a nice new Samsung Galaxy Edge. I bought for you a phone. We need to go back home. And the truth is, I got the phone, I gave it back to him. I told him the phone cannot solve any issue we have between us. It is okay if I don't even have a phone. He had brought the children with him. He told them to go tell mommy to come and we go home. And the truth is, all this was so hurting to me. He started using the children against me. Nataniko baga and baby into. I would say she was about 5.
Katinga cousin yayo.
Ngasigadeyo kuduka. Actually, I'm told the time I had left, the time he had brought me back to Kampala, she's the one who took over my home. But taking care of the home. Ngabera waka. Olone yamusanga nga yesibye tawulo yange.
Wow.
Anyhow, it took me time to first of all come around with everything that was happening. And I told him I did not have an idea when I would be back, because he kept persisting, come back home. No apologies, no nothing, come back home. We have work to do.
I think I write apologizing, I go asobye.
Era munange. Obadde ekyo nkyerabira.
Go asobya n'omunyiiza n'akugoba. N'akugamba ogendeko ku holiday. Leave.
So yesterday when I was meditating and I was praying, the Lord reminded me of something. Around about the time I told you that he had found herbs. Someone had given me a set of herbs. Ngatademu n'akapapula yali abiweereza ku bus. It was an older woman. Kati nga ngambye omusajja tojja mukkiriza kukuba. Tumufunire ki amagezi. Nze nali muto. So nakwata ekintu nakimpereza ku ki ku bus. Naye bwe nakikwata, I didn't even like look inside to see what exactly she had brought. I got the things and placed them around my suitcases. And the truth is, the thing got lost between me and God today. It got lost. I looked for the thing for months nga nkinoonya.
Kati nga mukyala akuweereza eddagala okole kimbo omusajja
yali aŋŋambye nti bwe nkifuna nkigulewo nsome instructions then mukubire. Okitegeera? Kati ekintu ekyo kimbulako. Now, yesterday I had told you guys that because of the trauma I had gone through, I taught myself how to forget. Because yayogeranga ebigambo bingi n'akuvuma n'akusesebula n'akuteeka wali. Kati nga ebigambo ebyo nze ng'omuntu tebinnyamba. I am the type of person, I think this is just the way God made me. I take on people's words. Bonnimbi ate kinnuma nnyo nga bw'okiwulira. So I don't take a lie. I take on words just like God has taught me about his word. Bw'ampa ekigambo kiba kyekyo. When God sends his word, it is true. So that is how naturally I was made. No, because of all these insults that he used to tell me, oli musiru, oli muki, tewasoma, bichi, byonna ebyo, natuka nampita ne sitaani, oli sitaani mwennyini. I had to find a way of coping with my situation. So I taught myself how to forget. And even up to now, there's been an effect on my memory that I never remember things. Then I get out, I'm like, what did she tell me? And I like try to look for the memory in my head. It's taken time for me to heal. And I can't say I'm 100% healed, but it's been a work in progress. I've not had an opportunity to say a psychologist or something like that. The Holy Spirit has been there every step of the way meanwhile. Okay? But now coming back to what I was talking about, this thing I forgot where it was. Kati mukusanga habs zilize nalinga nywanga nteka mchai. Nabyo nabisangirako.
Yeah. Katugende mu break. Tukomewo tubulire kyati. Be hopeful show. Tuline Zani Favor. Tugenda mukumulamu naye tovaawo tukomewo.
You're watching Be Hopeful. We'll be right back after the break. Bethany TV for health.
Tasty, tempting, and easily accessible, street foods have become a part of our culture. But have you ever stopped and wondered about its potential impact on your health? Worldwide, non-communicable diseases are a growing concern. Making informed choices for a healthier tomorrow. Street foods and non-communicable diseases. A journey towards wellness. On the Nutrition Spot this Thursday, 8 p.m. live on Bethany TV with our guests Anita Damali and Ganzi Ernest, nutritionists and dietitians. Hosted by Gift Nakainga.
I am your home. It keeps you safe and warm.
Have you ever wondered how long the dating process should take? Is there a standard? Should we borrow some patterns from our forefathers? Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Our topic of discussion this week on Arise Woman, this Friday at 8 p.m. on Bethany TV. Discovering the sweet spot between rushing into things and taking forever to make a move. With your usual suspects, Gift, Genesis, Winnie, and Mercy.
And the source that makes you feel like dreams come true. And I am.
Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Yo TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV for health.
Child health and well-being, the foundation for a bright and promising future. Join us for exciting episodes aimed at optimizing our children's physical, mental, and emotional health with our team of experts, including pediatricians, nutritionists, and child psychologists, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Bethany TV.
Bethany TV for health. This is the Health Minute on Bethany TV.
Hepatitis B is a preventable viral infection that damages the liver and causes cirrhosis, liver cancer, and death.
It spreads through direct contact with the body fluids, with semen, and with blood.
When diagnosed, hepatitis B treatment is given to slow the progression of cirrhosis.
The person also is supposed to take medication, though it's a long-term treatment.
Better healthcare for a better tomorrow. That was the Health Minute. Bethany TV for health.
Weewaawo kyali naffe wano ku Be Hopeful Show ku Bethan TV. Tuli mu studio n'omugenyi Zani Favor ng'atunyumiza ku lugendo lwe olw'obulamu n'engeri ajja kutuba ng'atubuulira. Tofaayo, emboozi eno gye ggweerako ojja kumanya lwaki ate yayita mu bye yalina okuyitamu, kubanga mu maaso obuwanguzi mwe buli ate ne Mukama byazza amukozesa. Kati mukwano, tumaze otegeera nga byewatikka oleese jjajja akuwadde ebintu otereza obufumbo awona emiggo ate bikubuzeeko.
Nga bimbuzeeko
ate ye abirabye.
Ate ye n'abiraba. Kati akatogo akaali awo emiggo ne giruma.
So at this point, had you become so desperate that you really could do anything to make your marriage work? Like, who advised you now to get those herbs?
There was a lady I knew, I don't remember, she was from Kampala here. Naye omukyalo oyo yalinga ava side zeeyo obuddo.
Okay.
Nali mutegedde from another girl who used to take care of. Kati nangamba omusajja oyo tajja kuddamu kukuba, tumusalire amagezi. The truth is, my viewers, first of all, to even say yes to this was wrong. Okay? I was at the same time very desperate, just like many of us out there who are desperate to keep this thing going. Even just accepting to take it on the bus, whether I had to do it or not, was wrong, completely wrong. And I do not, I take responsibility of that. And between you and I, or between God and I never did whatever she had asked me to do, the instructions. Bangoli yabigwako nga sinaba nakola ki, nga sinaba nabikozesa. Era nenenyeza emirundi mingi omutima gwange ne gumenyeka olw'ensonga ezo. However, omuntu yenna ayinza okugamba nti maybe ekyo kya escalating fights, but that came in after the fights were there. Okay? Because I remember narrating yesterday the episode in the super custom etc. So I want to kind of cut this short because it's very, very long. Now I go back to I will go through the whole period of my grandmother passing away, and then this man calls me one time and reminds me, by the way, we got the visas, we are going to the US, so you better style up. Nemugamba, how do I even start going with these wounds like this? Nangamba, no, you've got to come back. Abana bali kusonyiwa, do your kids ever forgive you when they notice that you refuse to go with them to the US? Kati ng'omuzadde netandika okwetereeza.
Kati US nga mugenda kubeerayo bamwali mugenda kukyala?
Twali tugenze kukyala. We were going to stay there for about 3 months. So I brace myself and I'm like, okay, I need to think of my children now. What will they think if I cancel this whole thing just because I'm being selfish? And so I decide, okay, let me gather myself. Kati nga naye sinema kubisiba bizzaayo. Abazadde baagamba nedda togenda kugenda. Leka asooka ajje. Bwe n'ategeka n'ajja ne best man we ne beegayira nti munnaye mutusonyiwe tajja kuddamu kumukuba. Ne tubikwata ne tubizzaayo. Jjukira wali emabega. Nagambye nti nasaba Mukama esaala evugamba sijja kuddayo. I had prayed to God prior to that episode that I just told him if he could remove me out of that situation,
you would never look back.
I would never look back. But still, I went back. Now going back, I was a little more wise because my mom would ask me, "Naye gwe bakubanga todizaayo, like tewerwanako wadde?"
Naye mama n'akukkiriza naye newe kati abaana akola kigosazeewo dda.
Kyakola okitegeera abaana nali mbalese. I had left my kids behind.
And your heart was also left behind.
My heart was literally in so much pain because I had left part of myself behind. Those children were my life. And so I decided to go back. But this time as I'm going back, I told my mother-in-law, I told her, Mommy, please let's go. How you come and visit us in Gulu? You've taken long. Yeah, okay. Ngatula mu motoka.
Olwo mama yali tamanyanga bigenda maaso.
Ebisinga yali tabimanyi. Yawuliranga nti she used to hear we would get fights here and there, but she did not know how bad. Yes. And so she gets onto the car, she comes. And then she comes, and then one of these things that happened, I had seen something that had happened at the shop. Between him and my cousin, again, I asked him. As I asked him, we were like in the bedroom at around 10 p.m. Nangamba nakugamba musajja alina okusajjalata. I told you have to let me be with my freedom. And so in that moment, I don't know where he got the belt. He started whacking me. And then I shout. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law is in the next bedroom. He thought he had locked that door because his intention for coming in was to whack me, like to hit me. And he had locked the bedroom. But that bedroom somehow, I don't even know what happened, but when they came and banged on the door,
it was open.
I don't know how it opened, but he had locked it because I remember him locking it. When they came to bang on that door, they really hit it so hard and it opened. What is happening? What is happening? Yes. So we go to the living room and she's like, I want to hear now both sides. What is happening? What happened? Why are you beating her? And so I tell her my story. I'm like, I found out this about him and my cousin today. And then what is funny is, I think I just never learned my lessons, because if I could stop asking about those things, maybe the beatings would have stopped. But he was my husband, for crying out loud, you know? And so I tell her this story. I didn't tell her depth. And I'm like asking one request. I'm like, if it is not true that he's not moving out or he's not slept with my cousin, let him touch that Bible. We were both Christians. And swear that. No, I didn't even need him to swear. I just needed him to touch it if he had not slept with her. He got the Bible and najikanyuga across the room. He threw it across the room. And I feared. For a moment, I'm like, what did I just see?
A Christian man doing that?
Yes. More than Christian, actually. Now, there was a type of juice we had made. As my mother-in-law is asking him, no, why are you acting so ruthless and aggressive? We are just asking simple questions. Tell me. He had a glass of juice he was taking. Meanwhile, he was drunk. And he poured it across the room with Wali to today. And then I just knew now this is a type of thing that we are dealing with, something that is beyond me. When he did that, he drove off. That was now about 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Like it was like the whole night. Like these things would happen prolonged in the nights. And I'll tell you, my friends, there are so many nights I'd never slept. So many nights. I would literally pray to God that he turns me into a lion so that when he comes, he sees me and he does not touch me, he goes away. And there are many times it happened. I don't know if I was really turned into a lion, but that was my prayer. Because it is something that he would fear. There's a night I specifically remember, he came, he hooted around midnight from those, Smanyi driving lessons with my cousin. He comes, he hoots. And every time I hear his hoot, I am terrified, I am sweating, I get anxiety attacks, I get panic attacks, and I'm like, where can I hide? Where do I go? God, turn me into something, either maybe make me invisible that he cannot see me. And that night I remember he came and he switched on the light in the bedroom. I wasn't sleeping, but I pretended to be sleeping. And he came and looked at me like this, and then went out and slept, and then he slept in the car. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. That was like the norm of the nights. And then the day comes and you have to pretend. Now, I'm trying to kind of break this down.
So what did his mother say? Weyavugana agenda ekiro ng'alabye byonna bibaddewo.
Twatulao, everyone was in awe because I remember also his sister was around. Kuba namanya nti no, this big house, I needed to bring people in. Pantaase, okitegeera. So time reached around after like 2 months nga babeerawo. So we decided we were now arranging to go to the US. So I told him I'm going to go to Kampala first because twalina okumanyaganya ewaffe. They needed me there, and so we agreed properly. Because like every morning that came, I had to pretend nothing happened last night. I had to be in my right behavior, okay? I also haven't told you the episodes he beat me from the shop. He would he would call me to the store behind. And he's like, I want to talk to you. N'alyoka ankubireyo emiggo. There's so much I could talk about. Now, this particular day, we agreed. He said yes. He gave me the transport. He even paid for my bus ticket. He got he literally drove me up to the bus station. He's the one who even carried my suitcase into the bus. I reached Kampala. I go for my things. After those 2 days, he drives back all of them to Kampala because they were supposed to meet me in Kampala. We arranged and then go to the airport. His sister runs and comes and tells me, do you know what happened when you left? I'm like, no. Yakubye mama waffe emiggo. I'm like, what?
No.
I am serious. She was telling me these things and I'm like, what caused it? Nangamba. He said,
no.
She's the one who has made you kunoba. She has made you to leave the home. I'm like, but you people, I left because I was going into kumanyagana. What has brought
his
this whole
own mother?
Yes, mbunamu walula kuseminti bwati from the bedroom. I think she had had a heart attack or something, and then for him he was saying she's pretending.
Oh my God.
I got super scared, and I'm like, I don't even know at this point what is happening in my own life. And now it has happened with his own mother. And then as the sister tells me, I'm like, you know what?
Did you
Mbadde mbiyitamu naye neetaaga okubeera nti nno omuntu omu abeera witness ku byempitamu kubanga abadde ankuba. We are in the middle of nowhere. No one comes to my aid. But I did not bring you people so you can be hurt in the process.
I just wanted you to see what I'm going through.
I sat and I'm like, I cannot begin to explain or express the pain I am going through to you. But one thing I'll tell you, I have done it all. I have prayed, I have done everything in my power to stay in this marriage, but I cannot stay anymore. If he can even reach a point of disrespecting his mother like that, I cannot stay in this place no more. I'm like, you know what? I could have taken on this burden and go ahead and pray again, but it's not going to change. Not because I don't have faith, but this is it. I'm like, you people, take on your burden, pray for him. After the 2 days, we went to the US. Now, let me tell you something. He was at his best behavior in the US. I had never seen that kind of side of him. He would open the door for me. He would buy me flowers. He would cook the food. He was very sober.
Wanji?
I mean, the donors had to say he's a good man.
I hear
that is how I knew that these
whatever
things
he did, he
are money.
Kwanga banenda kubuzuba yalina ekikyamu ku mutwe.
Omwenge gwali gumuletera ebintu ebyo byonna kati nga nange mmanyi nti when he stays off the alcohol, just maybe he will be okay.
He will be better.
But now he was, for 3 good months he was sober.
Nga tanywa mwenge.
Ate nga mu nyumba z'abazungu gubeeramu. He was at his best behavior, except for one night when we went, they organized a retreat for us. I think, like, you can't deceive some people. When there's something going on, they will see that these two, even when there's pretense. They noticed and they checked in us for a couple's retreat and they took on our kids. So here we are, and we are in this hotel, Hilton, having fun. He went and bought me a bottle of wine. We took the wine. That night he was very caring, even when he took the wine. He was never violent. Now, I'm kind of trying to speed up this thing. So we reach, the trip gets done. He was at his best behavior. We reach Shell when we are landing. We reached Shell and Teve. He got out of the car, he's like, I'm getting snacks for the kids, because it was very early in the morning. He goes. As he's coming back, I notice. I'm like, it's like now the old person was back. I'm like, I'm not sure. So I look into deep in his eye and I see his eyes are red. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we had talked about these things. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I thought we talked that there's no more alcohol. He's like, eh. No. He said, we are back to Uganda. Back to our life. I said, what? He's like, life needs to move on. Wanji. I was terrified. But I was like, no, there must be a way. Meanwhile, I had gotten this idea that this thing is going to work. Yes. I had this idea, and from the
because
US, I was excited.
All along, I was waiting to tell you. Did you ever consult a doctor? Like, did you encourage him to go and seek medical attention? Because
I did
such
everything.
things are done by people who are mentally ill. So if you're telling me you were in the US for 3 good months and he did not do anything, he even took some kawaii, which would maybe sparkle, and nothing happened.
Nothing
even after
happened.
taking wine. And then mukomawo kumukubonaga akati tuzeeyo
kuchikadde. We are back to Uganda. I said, nengamba kati nemugamba nti. Then he tells me, we are not going back to Gulu. You're going to your mother's place. Then I'm like, ate why? I'm like, I've lived out of suitcases for 3 months. I want to go back to my home. I had so much I had planned. Like, you know, you see ideas in people's homes and you're like, oh, I need to go do this. I need to go do this.
Shopping. Shopping?
Of course we had bought stuff. You know? I loved my family. I loved my kids. I loved my husband. Even with all that
point,
pain, yes, I did. I forgave him every day.
Oh my God.
I wanted this one thing to work in my life. We had established so much together.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There was a blessing already. I didn't want to
lose everything.
Yes, and go back to zero. And now, here we are back, and he's like, you're not going to your house, you're going to your mother's place. And I'm like, no, I'm going to my house. Nerabidde ne Sarah gye nasaba. And so he's like, okay, ng'agivuga tugende Gulu. We go to Gulu, which, you know, get to the house. Oh, I was super excited being in my home. In the night, he comes back from the shop because he had to make sure things there. Nga gyali yagana omugoba yagamba yagenda muwera school fees agende ku campus. Yes, she was young. This is a girl I used to visit at school. I used to pay tuition for. She was young. Lwakwanti nno omwana omuwala atuuka n'akula n'ateekako ku bbeere guno olowooza nti yenkana ne mukyalawo. Tutuuse Gulu. He goes to check on the shops. He comes back at around 9. He calls me on the phone. He parks at the farm all the way up there. He calls me. He's like, can you come? Put on your boots and come. I'm like, okay. I put on my boots. I go. I walk. It's like, it's 6 acres. I walk through the bushes, Vichy. I go. He's like, I want to show you something. I'm like, okay. He takes me to the pig sty. And he's like, do you notice that these pigs have not eaten today? I'm like, Maybe they gave them food and they got finished. They finished it. He's like, no, you did not make sure my pigs ate.
Pigs tezalina caretaker.
They had a caretaker, but
olina okumakinga sure nti naawe ogendayo anti gwe mukyala olina buli kimu kirabirira.
Anaye mbabuulire waliwo webikuyitirirako. So I was having my Fitbit watch, which I had been given as a gift in the US. Kyava agikwata nangamba mpesaawo eyo. Ne mugamba ate lwaki? Olwo empaka zitandise okukumawo. Nangamba otandise okummanyira. We go to the US, you speak about your own life. You don't speak about what we are doing here. Katula bakuwa ebintu, okusinga okutuwa sente. So he gets the watch from me. Nenjimuwa. Natandika okungamba nti you refused to do what I told you to do. I'm like, do what? He's like, you refused to stay in Kampala. I told you to stay with your mother. I'm like, but me, I want to stay here. Nankwata na nyimusa bwati. He held me and literally put me up here. Nangamba, do you know I can throw you down?
And he has done that before.
And he has done it before. I told him, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go to Kampala. In fact, let me go back and park. Nangamba, if you do one stupid thing, he looked in my eyes. If you do one more stupid thing, you're going to see what is going to happen to you. Nemugamba nta nzire wansi. Let me go and park. I go, after that, I walk back very fast, or I'm terrified. I'm like, this night over, when is it ending? I go back and start parking. Bwala kati bwatandika okulaba nga parking nze ngayita abaana. You see? Come and see your mother. She wants to leave us. And then I'm looking, I'm like, so what am I expected to do? In my heart, I could not answer at this point. I looked and I'm puzzled. Nabagamba, get her clothes, put them back in the closet. Because what? Nebukwate ngoyi, nebuza mu closet. Kumacha. In the morning, he's like, hey, you didn't pack?
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, nga sisoba amubuuza nga kyongamba kyengenda okukola. Nangamba parkinga n'ebintu by'abaana obiparkinga mbatwala Kampala. Ne tubiparkinga n'atutwala paka e Kampala. Nangamba mugenda lira Christmas ewamu. Wow, I don't even know how much time we have. But that was another story altogether. He came around 31st Christmas ng'ewedde. N'alyoka ng'agunywedde mbw atutwala ku La Bonita. Bali bagenda tukubira mawulire awo. Because I could not remember the pin to his ATM. And then he's like, call Sophie, she will tell you. She's been the one using, yes, she's been the one using my ATM. I had no choice. I get the phone, I call her.
And she tells you the pin.
And she tells me the pin, and I'm like, Sophie, I want you to also listen to this. Please stay away from my husband. When he calls you, don't pick. First of all, I am your boss. Okay? Please, for this one time, kale engeri gyali e Kampala. Soko mwesonyiwe. Already nga yanangide.
Cousin yakugamba, did she ever admit that she was sleeping with your husband?
She never admitted, but she told me the episodes when he would touch her and caress her and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't even want to hear more. Okay? Because this thing would break my heart. It would change me. And now I tell her and she's like, okay. Now, she didn't know I was down with her phone, with his phone now. And immediately I get off the phone from her, she's calling my husband. I'm like, this chick got to be kidding me. Forgive my language. And now, I go back. I go back and I'm like, he's quarreling, you see this, you see that. Then he gets out. He leaves the kids and I in La Bonita, and I'm like, this shows that they are showing. It's not even for kids. And I'm looking.
Oh, you went there with the...
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm like, these things the kids cannot even watch. So I get out. I start looking for him. I go out and I find him on the car. He's talking on the phone. And then I call Sophia's phone. It is busy. And I'm okay. I'm like, done. So I try to call him, and then we wait on the doorway until when he came. I'm like, you know what, let's just go home. It was now approaching midnight, 31st. We go in. Then he drives so fast. He's going, but he wants to go to Sheraton to show his kids fireworks and stuff. Policing him. Police kuba yali agunywedde. Somehow mukama n'atuyamba naye yatuvuga mu motoka. He drove us through those bumps without even thinking twice. So we reach at my mom's place. Ngangamba, okay, now
the fireworks,
they did not see the fireworks because the police could not allow us in. There was too much jam, first of all, and then the roads were all blocked. You know the Kavuyo for 31st. And so we go home. He drives like a mad person. Abana baba montebe baba na mpulire nakuba nange nga mpulira maziga gampita mugamba banange obusungu bwaki kati ndozanga Sophie byamugambi I don't know. I mean, that is probably what I thought.
I think that's what
now
happened.
We reach home. I'm sorry, I'm like running through it very fast. We reach home and he's like, go get your things and we are going.
Where?
Back to Gulu. And I'm like, but my mom, I'm like, but my mom, yagenze. I cannot just go without even saying bye to her. He's like, get out of my car. I got out. So I go out, get into the house. Katinganzijayo n'abaana tuyingira enju ng'atandika okuyomba nga mubuuza obedde oyogera ne Sophie ombuuzaako ki, why are you even asking me about this? I'm like, okay. So the argument escalates because I think he knew I knew something. And so he wants to hit me in my mom's home. And immediately I sense it. I run to one of the bedrooms and I lock myself in. Nenkwata esimu yote yali tekyamba mu ngalo kati. Yes. I started calling my mom. Nemuteka ne ku speaker nemugamba mami bobo jjangu no wa police nkwegayiridde omusajja atabusa. Kati olabana atembalese muki mudiro. Na bwe yawulira ekyo n'akwata abaana n'abateeka mu motoka n'agenda. He got the kids and put them in the car and he left. So I go back after I'm terrified. I'm like, God, what is happening? I look around and his phone had fallen. I knew his passwords. So I get his phone, I go through his phone. I'm like, okay, let me now see what is happening. Kumbe the night, the Christmas, he had dinner with Sophie in one of those best nice hotels in Gulu, Church Hill Hotel. They had dinner. And then they are sending themselves these messages. I'm like, okay.
This is it.
This is it. He tried to call my phone and I totally blocked him because at this point I was so done. I'm not going back to this marriage. Castavia US viwedde abana bebe nalineralikirira, but he had taken them and I'm like, chonna chechiri chijja kugwa, but I'm not going back because this time if I go back he'll kill me. So I stayed at my mom's place, I think, for about 2 months. For her, she comes, that night, she came back, I think, at around 2. She was from the same show we were actually watching. So she comes back, she's like, my mom has very few words, just like me. I started now thinking, what is the next thing I'm doing? I don't have my kids. I don't know if they ate bachali bato. Omtondoza yalina right around about maybe 1.5 years, maybe approaching 2. And I'm like, what do I do? So I stay around for like a month, I think, a month or 2. I don't remember clearly. He's calling bichi lele nafune simu empya nangamba nyabo komawe wamu komawo makago.
Be hopeful, show. tovaawo tukomawo tugenda mukumula mu katono naye tukyalina Zani.
You're watching Be Hopeful. We'll be right back after the break. Bethany TV for health.
Tasty, tempting, and easily accessible, street foods have become a part of our culture. But have you ever stopped and wondered about its potential impact on your health? Worldwide, non-communicable diseases are a growing concern. Making informed choices for a healthier tomorrow. Street foods and non-communicable diseases. A journey towards wellness. On the Nutrition Spot this Thursday, 8 p.m. live on Bethany TV with our guests Anita Damali and Ganzi Ernest, nutritionists and dietitians. Hosted by Gift Nakainga.
Amanya gange nze Mugabo David kati omusawo gwe mbadde mbuuza ekibuuzo kyange nafuna accident naye namu pain mu mukono muno olumu bwe maaso tekidoma ky'amazzi sula bulungi tulemu obulumi kati nkikoze ntyo kulanga mponya obulumi obwo kyembuuza omusawo boda yebantomera ne taxi yankoona naye nensuka saasobola kufa bantu alemerago ne banjanjabamu eddagala lyakuwandika kugula bibanja ninjambire wakabi nasobola ko binajanja bako binasobola
afuna accident ku boda taxi nemukoona ne kuva bwe yava mu ddwaliro agambye nti omukono gwe muli munda mu nnyingo akyawuliramu obulumi kati myaka gyaffe bw'otuuka ku myaka especially 25 n'okuzengulu bufuna accident mu joints oba ennyingo usually kitwale ekiseera ennyingo ezo okuddamu okutereera bulungi bakati teeza mu accident ndoza taxi bwe yakukuba ennyingo ezo zimu of course zimu zayulika kubanga wali ennyama ezikwata ennyingo ezo ennyama ezo oluusi ziyulika zereega ate kati bwe ziyulika nga oli mukulumukko zitwala obudde okuddamu kweyunga bulungi kudda gye zaava kati ka pain ako mubamu kasobola n'okumala emyaka 5 ne 6 almost kyalinamu ka pain ako era bwe muva mu accidents ezo amagumba gamenyese joint yereeze oba n'ofuna shoka mu joint abasawo usually bakusindika mu basawo abalala wali ekitongole kye bayita physiotherapy bana bakola exercise abasajja abantu abo abasajja n'abakyala bakola mu department ebakugu nnyo mu bintu ebyo era bamanyi bulungi okuddamu bakozesa exercise bakubuulira by'osobola okukola okuzza ennyingo ezo n'ennyama ezo ziri mu nnyingo okudda engulu gye zaava bakati ndoza kyolina ezi ennyingo eyo tennatereera bulungi ate tereeza kati ozze ku mulimu nange ebintu bwebityo bya leero tudda ku mirimu mangu nga tetunawona ozze ku mulimu ozze ku boodayo oluusi musitula ennyingo eyo tennatereera otandise gikozesa so zekyengamba ndi mujje mu ddwaliro tunoonye abasawo baffe abakugu mu department ya physiotherapy baddemu bajja kuddamu bakubuulire by'osobola okukola ennyingo okugizza engulu kuba si kirungi nnyo okukozesa eddagala limu litukosa kati ng'eddagala lya pain likosa ekibumba bw'olikozesa nnyo eddagala lya pain likosa gundi ensigo bw'olikozesa nnyo so kiba kyagala ojje mu ddwaliro tukole assessments tukutestinge tulabe ennyingo eyo n'ennyama eziyunga ennyingo tulabe bwe ziri ojja ku ddwaliro bimu bye basobola okukola basobola kuddamu ebifaananyi waliwo ate ebifaananyi byanjawulo, waliwo kimu kye bayita x-ray, waliwo ekirala kye bayita sikaani ekyamaanyi, ne baddamu ne batunula muli ne balaba bapima balaba ennyingo ekyali etya, waliwo ennyama ezayulika bwe bityo. So kiba kyagala mujje mu ddwaliro tukole tests yo ne assessment.
Bethany TV for health. And now, more with Be Hopeful.
Be Hopeful show. Tukomyewo nate tuvuddeko kuwummulamu gwe munnaffe atulaba ku Facebook namwe abali ku YouTube mwebala kubanga mutugoberera mwebala kubanga mulaba Be Hopeful. Ze Winnie Mbabazi omugenyi waffe ye Zani Favor. Kakati nze njagala kumanya omwami yakugambye eddayo eggulu waddayo oba tewaddayo?
Nemugamba sigenda kuddayo okutusanga ze ne yeetonda. Najja ne yeetonda nafukamira bulungi nabagamba naye sijja kuddamu mukuba. Kati nga bakkiriza neme nekyemisana twali tufumbi nga ntula mu motoka nga nteeka mu bintu byange. That's after 2 months. That's 2018 now. And so I get in the car round about Matuga. He stops the car. He said,
ngolo tudde oddayo muto?
Yes, tuddayo. Era yali super custom. Nangamba gwe oyitiriza okugamba abantu nti nkukuba. But nange the man changed. And I'm like, okay, I am dead. I'm like, I remember I had like 20K in my pocket. I was putting on shorts. Nengamba, I think I should run across the road, get a border in Twali. Naye nga tuli Matuga. Nga simanyi oba sente zo zikola ki? Zintuusa. Nangamba, get in the car, get in the car. Now, before he got in the car, he went and nafukamira mu kisiko. Nakaba maziga, he wailed, I don't know why you're doing this to me, blah, 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 blah. Ambisa mubwango. I don't want to tell you everything that happened. He gets in that, he's like, get in the car. He starts to drive like a madman. I literally thought we were going to crash. And I'm like, God, you've got to do something. I am sorry again. I've come to you with this issue, but do something. I think we are going to die this time. And guess what happened? I think about after an hour, nga avuga speed, emotoka ngezikira out of the blue. It could not move. Nga damu agitandika ngiigana. There's a cassette, I don't remember. Simanyi. Amafuta gali galaga nti mwegali. But it just went quiet. So we slept there. So he called for another car to come from Kampala. Nengamba tetufiridde ku kkubo. I feel that was the way God intervened.
Nenga gwera tokiraba nti Mukama agezaako ko stopping. Why didn't you just step out of that?
Banange, me, I loved my husband. I loved my marriage.
Wow.
Even with the pain,
that's
I did.
All I can say.
But also he would read to me scriptures like, God hates divorce. You can't do this. You have to be submissive. And I'm like, I'm going to try. So the car comes, we go, I'm rushing through it. We go back to Gulu. And then this one time, this is just what the story that my daughter reminded me yesterday, which I thought, meanwhile, she did not know. She reminded me, she's like, Mommy, what about this episode? You didn't talk about it. So she's like, there's this time he really got a long thing out of the car, like below the car, because he used to also do mechanics. I didn't know what he was holding. Me, I was running, Gangoba. He was running, I was running, and he was running after me. But I didn't know what he was holding. So my girl yesterday told me that he was holding something which was from the car.
Like metallic?
Metallic. Ngachaduka okunkuba. Kati mukudduka kuno, I was like, let me buy time. Let me run like I've never run before, because this is like 6 acres. Mudduse akowe. Bwana ako wajja kwebaka. Meanwhile, I'm praying. I am running. I am praying. And then God helps me finally. He gets a muscle pull. Natandika okudduka nga wenyera what? But somehow, because now I'm tired, I am thinking, okay, he's not going to now run. I relax. He comes and grabs my head and puts me down in the dust. Nankulukunya, he put me in the dust. He made me eat dust. He pulled my hair. He's like, I started to shout. He's like, now you're shouting. Who is going to come and help you?
Where are you?
In the compound, in the somewhere
compound
outside.
The house where you used
out
to
of
live?
the house, yes. Yesterday, my daughter told me that during that episode, they saw everything, and they went and locked themselves in their bedroom, and they were shivering.
Oh my God!
You guys, I cannot tell you that I even knew that my kids knew what was happening.
I don't want to go there because it is really painful. Now, when do you choose to leave that marriage? That
episode made me leave, because after he pulled my hair, I was damaged. I nalisitegeera. Somehow, after that, he pulls my hair, blah, blah. I'm running through it. I run back to the house. My clothes are torn apart. I'm literally naked. I ran to the guest room. I locked myself in. He comes and brings a gas cylinder and bangs down that door. And then it got this whole thing crack, and he opens. And he's like, you see? Wherever you're going to run, I'm going to come after you. Look into my eyes. I'm coming after you. Whether you go back to Kampala or not, I'm coming after you.
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever cheat in your marriage?
No. God being my witness, first of all, he cut off all my friends, all my family. He isolated me. I never had any friends, not even female friends. They're influencing me to leave my marriage.
So what was fusing all this anger that he had? Like, what?
I can't put my finger at it. I still can't. I still contemplate, and he made me think I was the wrong one. When you're trying to do the right thing, he says you were wrong.
But anyway, even if omuntu kaina kyakoze kyonna, omwana w'abandi bw'oba omukoyo oba mwenzu, mukwate omuzeeyo waabwe muveeko funa omukyala omulala. Because I know, yes, Christianity tells us no divorce. Because once the covenant is done, it is done. You do not break the covenant. But also, waliwo ebintu ebyawandikibwa mu Bayibuli. Omukyala engeri gy'olina omuyisa, naawe omukyala engeri gy'olina okuyisa omwami.
God hates divorce, and he allows it because of the hardening of the hearts. Okay? Even as they used to read, he would read the scriptures to me. I don't even understand it, because why would he justify his actions? Because God hates divorce. Now, I'm trying to really rush through this. So
you choose to leave?
No. After that episode, in the night, I don't sleep. Things that happen in the bedroom, stuff like that. And then in the morning.
Things happened in the bedroom?
Yes.
That night?
Yes. There's no day he would find that it wasn't, you know. And so there was this lady who had come to plait the kids' hair, because we had already made the program. She came. Certain things happened there that will take even longer time. But on that day when I decided to leave, he told me, look in my eyes. He came and told me, come here, look in my eyes. You're going to write something more like a contract, and you're going to sign on it. And you're going to tell me, I'm going to tell you what to write. Get a paper, get a pen. I start to write down. He's like, start, number 1, I will never ask for a divorce. Number 2, I will never run out of my marriage. There were about 10 points. And then he told me to sign. Meanwhile, he had taken away my phones, my identity cards, everything. So after I signed, he's like, that day was a Sunday, we had been to church, and then I had cried during the service because I was in pain. And then he's like, When we were traveling in church, when we were in church, I saw that you were remorseful. You're going to be a good girl now.
Wait, you know, I'm running short of questions right now. The church where you went to, did you ever share with your elders?
Remember, yes, I told you I had shared with Watoto because it was where we were going.
Oh, okay.
I had shared with them. They knew the things that were happening.
Nainga wabera mu church pretending to be the best husband.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
He's very talkative. I'm not very talkative, even though I'm telling the story. I'm trying to, like, you know, kind of bring out in normal life. I'm not very, very talkative, and so I'm trying to go back to what I was talking
signed
about. I signed the thing. He's like, you were very remorseful in church, so you're going to be a good girl and you're going to follow my rules. Now he tells me, come and stand here, and I want you to look in my eyes. His eyes were always red. He's like, I want you to know that if you fail one of these rules today, I am going to lock you up in one of these rooms in the house, and no one will ever hear from you again. Nja kubagamba nti wazzemu n'onoba kuba bulijjo onoba n'ogenda n'ondeeta n'onfukamiza mu bazadde bo. Ku luno nja bagamba wagendera ddala nange simanyi gy'oli.
Ofiira omwo.
In that moment, I heard a voice, a clear voice, tell me, if you don't get out of this place, you're going to die. I perceived that it was the voice of God. And so at that moment, I said, yes, I am going to be at my best. Everything I'm saying, yes, yes. So he gets my phone, he gets my identity cards. Katimu, in that moment, I'm like, God, if you want me to go, I want you to help me get money to go. I had not been in the shops for a very long time. Somehow, someone gives me money from the maid's phone. Maybe this is a scam. So somehow they send money. I'm like, okay. I call the border man. I'm like, tomorrow at 6 a.m. I want you to come for me. In that moment, nangamba kati ngenda Kampala. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. This is my way out. I organize. Things in the bedroom happen. At this point, I was literally dead, emotionally dead. Ngomufu. Naye mbazayo kwe katono nnyo emabega nti natuuka ekiseera ne njagala okugulira abantu omugulira abasajja bamukube. I wanted to pay off some men to beat him properly, to be able to, so that he can feel the pain.
I know.
But then my heart. My God would never allow me to do that. And I'm like, I would never allow anyone to change me. I was not that kind of person who wanted to seek revenge.
And you would not play the Anna.
If it had reached there, I'm like, I'm done. Kati, I am not going back again. And so, he went, things finished in the bedroom. He's like, I pack for me my clothes. I pack everything. He goes. Bananga, you guys, I counted every minute, every second I was left. Now, I was torn in between, do I take my kids? Where am I taking them? Where am I beginning from? And so, at 6 a.m., I leave the house, I leave them with a maid, and I'm like, take care of them. When the time is right, they will see me. Kuluno nensibo mutima. Nengamba, I've got to hang on to this. Since I had a voice, I need to get out. Echisinga. No, I'm going to be alive. I will not ever forgive myself if my kids had to come to my graveyard to cry, if there would even be a graveyard.
Yeah.
So I left. I came to Kampala. I started to figure out life. I first went to my mom's, and then he came. In that 1 week, he came back. He told the kids, go tell your mom to come, and we go home. I told them I'm not coming. They cried in my face. It broke me. It tore me to pieces. But I said I'm not going back for the sake of my life. Because I want to fight for them. But I cannot fight for them when I'm dead. I've got to be strong for this one point. And so I had to leave my mom's place. I went and found...
He doesn't know.
Yes. I borrowed some money, about 300,000. I went and stayed in a small, tiny room in Nansan again. And I'm like, okay, God, I can choose to give up, but you're the only source of hope I have. So I want you to, me and you this time, tell me where I went wrong. Because I've tried everything to keep this marriage going.
Yes.
I want you to tell me.
I understand.
I had done everything. I tried everything in this world to make sure that this could just happen. And I told God, I'm not giving up.
I'm sorry.
And I needed him to still give me confirmation that it was okay for me to leave, because I didn't want to make my God angry by leaving a marriage and then I go through divorce. I told him, God, speak to me. I sought for answers from pastors. I went to Mutundwe. I went everywhere seeking for answers from these pastors. And you were married in church? Oh, I cannot tell you anything.
Bannange endagaano zino tuzaagala naye nga nazo zituuka ne zitufuulikira ekizibu.
My people out there who want to be married, and I always tell this too, I go to singles gatherings and I talk to them. You desperately want that, but you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I'm telling you.
You don't know what you're asking for. You don't even know if you're ready for it. I wasn't ready. Even though I was ready to fight to see that everything just stays.
Abawala babeera eyo n'obasanga ng'ali too desperate ennaku zino beekwanira n'abasajja.
You don't know, and you might be out there and you're saying, well, my story cannot be like your story. Sweetheart, I never desired to go through the pain. I never expected any of it. I never expected that after 7 years I would fail in a marriage. How would people look at me? I got stigma from so many of my friends. I lost friends. I lost people. I was one like this. I had to go through that pain. My family was not understanding me. Everything was just confusion.
I understand.
I have not said so many things. And to my viewers, like I said, there will be a book that will come out maybe at the end of the year. For you to know how everything was, because the Lord has put it on my heart to share it. And like I said in the beginning of the last part, yesterday's part, I do not say this to tarnish his name. I want us to learn lessons from this. I have learned so many lessons on this journey. I've gone through a journey of healing. It has not taken, short time. I relate with people and I am so defensive. I have so much hope in God that my situation is changing, but you don't want to go into something and you don't know how it's going to be. We all never know. But make sure you always inquire from God. If I'm to take you back when we were dating, he got an anger, something. I don't know what we had done. Just a simple fight, and I told him, you know what, I'm calling off this wedding. In that moment he got so angry, he got the phone and threw it across the room. It gone into pieces. I got frightened, but that was supposed to be an eye-opener for me.
A red flag.
But he cried, no, you cannot leave me.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I cannot live without you. I was so, my heart. I'm so emotional.
And they ignore those things. In fact, some of them, because they are desperate. They really want to get married. So, but these are things that we go through and you see it and you're like, the moment you're like, oli mu relationship, omuntu wakamala naye emyezi, nayo ino obuntu tubolaba obukanga omutima gwo. We shouldn't ignore those things. Yes. In fact, tomorrow, we have a show. It's a ladies' show. It is Arise Woman. It happens every Friday. So, but we talk about those small things about women and girls. So our topic last week and tomorrow will be dating. So we are taking people through understanding what dating is, the do's and don'ts. So during dating, those are the small things that happen. Nolabo musajja I normally, someone was telling me, now there's this man, yankubidde simu atenga, nesitamukwata namala wiki nga tankubira. That is good enough to show you that this man can walk away and leave you in marriage. Because if you can miss his one call and he spends a week without calling. Obuntu obo. Kati gogenze ku date omusajja anyiza ayasizze simu. But he could not wake up to say, naye omusajja ono. Bwe tuba tukyali bwe tuti mulave entonga, he could smash the phone like that. Won't he smash me?
I never thought about it. I don't know what else I wanted to share right there. But
but let's go back to now. You refuse to go back, even when the kids come to bed.
Yes, I refused to go back. I went and searched out for God. I prayed day and night.
I started. You had stopped when you're praying.
Then I heard about Motunde radio, and I'm like, I'm going to sit on this radio. I'm like, God, let's make a deal. If I can hear someone who has my story, at least 50%, maybe I'll go back if you want me to go back. But if I don't hear, I'm staying right here. Meanwhile, I need you to speak. Not that I was demanding God, but this time I was in pain, emotionally, physically. You can think about it. And then one time I got a dream in the middle there, and God was, and in the dream someone was telling me that I am going to send you a man who is going to help wipe away your tears. The tears that this person, he mentioned their name, that he made you cry.
A man like man, husband?
He's just said a man.
Okay.
I don't know if it is a husband.
I'm now excited. I don't even know. So which year are we talking about now?
That is still 2018, in the middle there. So I decided, my kids, I couldn't live away from them. He had kept them away from me completely. I could not speak to them on phone. My heart was in pain, tangible pain. And every time I went down on my knees, I would wail and cry. And I'm like, God, my kids, this is killing me. I almost decided to go back again.
I understand you. I do understand.
I was in so much pain. I would dream about my kids being beaten. I would dream about them sick. I have this gift of dreaming, and I can see. I know when something is wrong because I knew my kids. But then I'm like, God, I cannot go back because I'm going to die. He then promised, I saw in a dream that I had now gotten my kids and were living alone, just me and the kids. I hung on to that word and I prayed day and night. I'm like, okay, God, so what do you want me to do? Then I got a dream and I saw a word, know God. And I'm like, you want me to know you? I'm like, but God, I've been saved. Yes, like knowing God. I'm like, but God, I've been saved. He's like, no, you don't know me. We don't have that companionship. I want you to know me. Get to know me. So I started to go and seek my King, my love. He gave me a scripture in Isaiah 54. I am your maker and your husband. And that comforted me. He said, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to take away the shame of your youth.
Hallelujah.
And then I hung on to that word. I still had questions why these things had happened. But I decided, let me read my scripture, my Bible. The answers I was seeking from the pastors, no one gave me. And God told me, one day I even grumbled in my mind. I'm like, but God, how come no one is telling me anything?
Already you wali ogambye okuwuliriza n'ogamba gyawulirako stories. Wawulirako
Sina kye nawulira. Ne mestra nengende emutunde nengeza kolaba Pastor Vicky. No one could help me and I grumbled. Then in the night, I got a dream and someone was telling me, why do you keep grumbling? I want you to come to me. And then I'm like, okay, I need to come back and I start to search out for this man who loves me, my God. And then I started praying day and night. I would not skip day and night. I looked for jobs everywhere, nothing. Meanwhile, I would stay hungry. But now I wanted my kids. And I'm like, God, there has to be a way. So by faith, I started speaking to some people who by now had gotten to know some of the things. Told them, people, I need help. What? And someone raised some money, about $100. Ningina ninonye nyumba endala. Nganonye nyumba where I can take my kids and the lawyers can come and see that they are safe.
Yeah, you're stable enough to do.
By faith, I paid that money to a 400,000 shilling house. N'abasajja abansengula nalina omufaliso ne ka gas ne radio gye nali mpulirizaako n'ensabirako ne baŋŋamba naye gwe oli musiru. How do you come to such an expensive house and you don't even have anything? Are you stupid? I'm like, people, you don't know I love my children. This is the only reason I'm doing it. By faith, I walked into that house and I made it an altar and I started to pray day and night. I started surfing at the church that the Lord had led me to. Meanwhile, I go to Mutunde. Now I'm just really running through things. Yeah. A lot happened in that season. All I can say that everything that happened, God was teaching me. He connected me to Pastor Chimuli in Kololo, Apostle Michael Chimuli. He fathered me and he taught me some things. And Nanumbayo, my ex-husband, started looking for me from there. Meanwhile, my friends, the Lord is so gracious. The Lord would give me dreams every time I would probably land in his space. Like, for example, I would dream that I'm like going to pass this side and then he's there. So I'm like, in the morning, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to use that road. I'm not even going to go out of the house. That is how God protected me, because he was after me. He would track my phone calls. The beauty about all this is that God communicated every single step of it, to the point that after we deal with, I'm really running through this, we go through, someone connects me with someone like a lawyer who helped me do these things of divorce for free. And these people would call me, they're like, are you really sure you want to leave your marriage? I'm like, people, you don't have an idea. By this time, my mind was totally made up. Immediately, I heard from God. And anyone will say, God will never, side with you breaking up a marriage. Just like he allowed the wrong marriage, he can still allow me getting
that wrong
out.
Marriage too. Yeah. So now you finally got a divorce.
Yes.
When do you get your kids?
I get my kids at the end of the year. Yeah, the people who want to know more details will buy the book. At the end of the year, he brings them, like court tells him to bring them back. He brings them with no cloth, no money.
It is okay.
I stayed with those kids and I'm like, God, you said you're my husband. So that means you are the father to these children.
And you'll teach them.
It was a hard life, that's for sure. People from the new church stood by me. They, one would chip in with 50,000, one would bring food. They really cared. But I was stigmatized by the rest of the society, knowing that I was going through divorce, especially even with my old friends. And I don't blame them. No one could have understood the situation I was in. So after like 2 years, I don't want to go through all that because there was a little more suffering with the children without food and anything. And I tried, the court had to bring him to page and even they decided to even give him a warrant of arrest because he was not contributing to the kids' welfare. And that day, as I leave courts and they've issued a warrant of arrest, I hear the word mercy in a very still small voice, my friends. And then I turn back and I go to court and I tell them, do not imprison him. And everyone's like, what? Are you mad? This one time God has given this man to you. You're not going to do anything about it? I told them no. Mercy. Emirembe jikulukuta ye Yesu wange. I choose to forgive him and I have nothing against him. And my view was, forgiveness is a daily journey because you forgive this person today, tomorrow they will do something to provoke you, tomorrow you will hear things being spoken, but I chose forgiveness.
Oh no. And because you talk about it does not mean that you hate him.
I don't hate him because I'll just tell you one more little story before I get into the ministry part, and I know our time is fast spent. This one time I fast and pray 3 days. I'm like, God, I want my children. So I kind of open up my phone. I'm like, please bring the kids. I try to like really sweet talk him. And so he's like, okay, in a baleta. So they come to Kampala. I left my car room. I went to my mom's. Ngasagala manyewa wembera. Netugende wa mami. Naja. Nantunulira. Smiling. Nangamba olabe motoka he had packed things for the shop. Nangamba, all that is capital for you. Get in the car, let's go to Gulu. Pichi byokole Kampala. Lwaki weeyiya? Come back to the money. Then I told him, you know what? We agreed you're bringing the children. Not so? Yes, that was the third day of my fasting. He refused. He got the kids. Nagama, go back to the car. Kati nemanya nti bwe tusigalawo fembi ayinza okunkola ekintu. I cornered and went into the bedroom and I locked myself. And then he waited, he started quarreling. Then again, agenda. So I called my brother immediately. I'm like, can I see you? I went to meet him. Then my brother told me one thing. He's like, you're a prayerful woman and I know God answers your prayers. How come this time he has not answered you about your children? He challenged me. And I told him, but wait a minute, I am in my third day of fasting. I didn't even have food to break my fast. Meanwhile. So he's like, let me share my food with you. Contemplating. You know what? My God is going to answer.
And he answered.
At 10 p.m., my friend, I get a strange phone call because I was using a new number. And the person is like, Nyabo, there's been an accident. Come for your children. I'm like, what happened? Katingoli nga mkwati nga mujake simu nga ayogera. This man was so strong-hearted, if I may say. He said, hey, olaba buwandoze kakati chango bachime osinze. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I'm like, forgive my language. I'm like, is it a setup? Does he want to finish me once and for all?
You weren't sure.
I wasn't sure. So in the morning, I'm like, I cannot travel in the night. I'll come in the morning. Okay. So I get the phone. I call his brother. I'm like, you know what? I'm told your brother got an accident. Can we go together? I just want to make sure I am safe. So we go back to Gulu. I find him all ngajudo musai.
Abaana nga bali bati.
Abaana nga waliwo abalina.
Nga tebalina buzibu bonna. Yali akonya omusajja ku boda nga afudde. That's another stretch altogether and onja baterawo kukoma. Okay. Abaana wabafuna.
Abaana nembafuna. At some point after we've gone through the court and everything, God gave me a very good magistrate. She was really, very sympathizing. Then I get the kids, I go through the time, like 1 or 2 years with nga nenoonya ngezezaako okunoonya kino nenkola kino nenfumba ku mmere okuwa ku bantu nenjoza ku ngoye z'abantu byonna nagezaako bikola. But meanwhile God was trying to get my attention to serve him. And so one of those days I had money and it wasn't enough. Ngankoyo kubeera in need. And then I told God, what do I do? I'm tired of being in need. Sagala kutandika kwebaka n'abasajja to take care of my children because there's that temptation. I'm a beautiful woman, Anyone will come, they want to sleep with me. And I had so many struggles. And then I was also in pain. I was fighting trauma. Dreams, I have got nightmares, like so many things that were mixed up in my life. And then this money I had about 50,000. Because it was not enough, God had was teaching me something in this period of time. So I get the 50, I start to split it up and start giving it to the single moms that I had known during that time. And they all thanked me, they were so happy. I was like, this is nice. Then in like an hour, someone sends me 100,000. He's like, please go buy food. I'm like, even this 100,000 is not going to be enough for us. I got it, I split it, I still gave it to the single moms I knew. At the last minute, that was around Christmas. On Christmas Eve at around 4 p.m., someone calls me, like, did you guys get food for Christmas? I'm like, no, not yet. He's like, I have $100 here. Please come for it. And I'm like, whoa.
You discovered yourself.
I discovered myself. And so slowly by slowly, God told me that this is what he wanted me to do. Today, he allowed me to fight all those battles, to fight my pain, to fight my trauma, to go through the spiritual battles. When I got my children, I had to go down on my knees, pray for them every day, because they used to get sick a lot. There's so much I went through my process of healing.
And that's what makes you today the warrior
woman.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. So, naye kasita omala olonkinga akatabo tujja kukomawo tuwogere kubanga bintu bingi nnyo abaana bye balina oyiga because like you said in the beginning, you're not telling this story to shame this person or because you have hate, but because you want people to learn from the story. Kubanga story yo erimu a lot of mistakes you made. Ebintu ebimu tewali biyiseemu singa wakola okusalawo mangu. Ebintu ebimu tewali birozezza nako singa watunula bulungi ne wetegereza oba singa wakiwa time. In fact kyenkugambye nti musheno twogera ddi dating process lwalina okugenda naye ne wemala omwaka waliwo ebintu byosobola okulaba in that period of year naye noobi ignoringa. So I'm sure we shall bring you back because your story is very touching. I'm telling you, you don't want to see the comments that we have. People come in my inbox, they're so
for anyone who wants to find out more about my ministry, you go to www.warriorwomanministry.org. www.warriorwomanministry.org. I take care, I do missions with the widows and single moms. We go to villages, I collect clothes, shoes from friends. If you feel in your heart that you need to donate to this ministry, I wanted to also say that I don't do it because I profit out of it. I do it because I have a heart. My mom is a widow. I am now a single mother. I know the pain of not having food on the table. Besides every other thing I have gone through, the pain, I have to now raise my children single-handedly. Do I want to get married? Yes, at some point I know the Lord will allow it happen. For now, let me serve him.
Okay, that's wonderful. Ngasinaba kusibula bantu. Sophie yali mfumbo oba nedda ate tubyogerako tubireke.
Taliyo, I'm told she did kwanjula with another man.
Okay.
And this gentleman, my ex-husband, he got another lady. They gave birth to a child.
Oh, it has been a very beautiful journey. I have enjoyed so much. I have been inspired by your story, and I'm sure everyone who watched these episodes have been blessed. Olwakadde tetugenda kubanga tusukawo wano ebisingako mujja kuba mubiraba tugambye agenda kulauncinga akatabo. Awolya bw'anaaba agenda okulaunchinga akatabo naddamu n'atubuulirako ebitonotono naye ndowooza ne lw'obunooba olaunchinga tujja kumanya tujje tukuwagire. Be Hopeful Show bwetyo bwetambudde olunaku olwaleero naye nga ebintu zani byanyumiza ndowooza mubiwulidde. Mulimu ebintu ebimu nga oba olyawo yalina okusalawo amangu n'atasalawo n'abeera ng'ate ayita mu byayitamu naye ate oluvannyuma lwa byonna ate tukiraba nti ensonga lwaki alina okuyita mu byayitamu, it is because of her calling, that purpose. Oluusi erina byekuyisaamu kati bwe olina challenge gy'oyitamu akaseera kano njogera naawe gwalaba Bethany TV oyinza okuba nga olina okunyigirizibwa kw'oyitamu oba ku mulimu awo naye Mukama eyo training ground kubanga ayina